Hey guys, today Michael and I are going to show you our favorite pulled pork recipe. You can make this carnivore or animal based. We're going to make a sauce that goes on top of it that will have honey and no sugar added applesauce. You can put that on top of the pulled pork when you're done, or you could just make the pork and have a completely carnivore meal. Here's all the ingredients you'll need to make this.
Good morning, guys. One of the things Julie and I like to make pretty regularly is slow cooked pulled pork. And so today we are going to show you the animal-based dry rub that we make. We're going to take a crock pot, we're going to put it on high for a few hours, cook our tenderloin, about 2 pounds, and then we will take 2 forks, break it up, and then slowly add in this mixture. The only thing that will actually cook the pork completely through will be some salt and a little bit of chicken broth. Okay, and then we will slowly turn the cooker down to low, cook it for I think usually 2 more hours, and then like I said, slowly begin to put this rub in it. I also will keep a little bit of this back in reserve to be able to use as almost like a dipping sauce or a pour over on the finished product. Julie likes the way hers is seasoned as soon as it comes out of the crock pot, simply because she doesn't like hers as spicy as what I do. So this does have a little bit of kick to it. We'll talk to you about the exact measurements. All I have here is a medium-sized mixing bowl and our whisk. If it gets a little bit noisy, I apologize. Again, there's nothing to this. You're going to have probably the majority of this hanging around the pantry or in the refrigerator. So the base that we're going to use today, which you saw in the store, is some no sugar added applesauce. And we're going to add 4 ounces to this. Since this is a 23-ounce jar, we're simply going to eyeball it, but this is going to be our vehicle to stick to the actual pork itself. Okay, so we've added that in there. Next, what I'm going to do is add a heavy splash of our apple cider vinegar. Okay, so a couple of tablespoons. Same with our lemon juice. We're going to add a little bit of acidity. So again, usually what I do, 2 tablespoons of the apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon of the lemon juice, and then we will try it as we mix it along and see what else we need to add to it. So I'm going to give this a quick whisk to kind of get incorporated in the applesauce. All right, our only sweetener in this is going to be our Florida raised honey. We found a local beekeeper here and we really enjoy this. This is our honey blend. It has some wildflower. It also has some orange blossom honey into it. 1/4 of a cup is going to be about what we need. Again, you got to remember we're talking about 2 pounds of tenderloin. Okay. Next, we're going to have some yellow and Dijon. We're going to add both mustards because the taste that we're looking for here needs to have a little kick to it. So the regular mustard is going to be a little more mellow. The Dijon is going to give it a little bit more of a fuller flavor. So I went about 3 tablespoons. I'm going to do 2 with the Dijon. Again, quick whisk. Nothing big here. No heating required. And you can baste this. You know, I'm just doing what we do here, but you could baste this all along the pork from the time, of course, that it's raw until you serve it. This should not burn in the crock pot. Okay, so that is our liquid ingredients. Now we're going to go to our spices. So I've got, let's see, where's my paprika here? Now my paprika is going to be 1.5 teaspoons. So that's, again, going to give us a nice little kick. We have our salt. Now this is just a container of Morton sea salt. We actually have our Redmond salt inside of here. In a much larger container though is where it sits in the shelf. So our salt is going to be 1.5 tablespoons. So add that to the mix. Very simple. We have onion powder next. Onion powder is going to be 1/2 teaspoon. And I'm going to eyeball that one. Cayenne, 1/2 teaspoon. One more kick. And then lastly, we found this rub at Buc-ee's. I think we've talked to you about this rub before. This is Hardcore Carnivore. This is the jalapeno, the Texas jalapeno salt. I'll read this on the back here for you. Salt, dehydrated garlic, and spices, jalapeno, silicon dioxide. That's the only ingredients here. This one is going to be to taste. Now, for me, I love the seasoning in a dip more than I do on the meat, interestingly enough. I can add this simply to sour cream, and I'm telling you guys, you add a heavy dose, 3 to 4 tablespoons, to a 16-ounce container of sour cream. It tastes exactly like French onion dip. You add a little bit more salt on top of it, and it tastes store-bought. Great, great French onion dip. Makes no sense whatsoever because it is jalapeno salt, but I'm telling you, I like this better as a dip rather than on the meat itself. So I am going to add in a tablespoon, a hefty tablespoon, mix this all together, and then I'm going to taste to decide what else that it might need before we finish. Okay. Now, traditional rubs obviously are going to want you to add brown sugar. They're going to want you to add probably a ketchup, maybe even want you to add oil. We are not doing that. That's why we got the applesauce, so that the applesauce could be, again, the major vehicle. If I look at where we are, you can see here we have a nice kind of brick red color. I would say the consistency here is going to be just a little bit thicker, right, with the mustard added than your applesauce where we began. And we're going to taste, like I said, I can smell the jalapeno salt coming through, and I can also smell the Dijon. That's the two overwhelming flavors here. So let's get a little bit. Okay, I gotta think here. We're gonna have to have more mustard and a little bit more honey. So let's add some of our mustard. I'm gonna cut it a little bit more with just a touch lemon juice. And then again, our honey. Let's see where that takes us. Now, if it's on the upper end of salty, that's okay. The meat will absorb that a little better. It just may be difficult to assess what it's going to taste like on the meat rather than how I'm tasting it right now. Okay, so I like mine on the upper end of salty because that tells me once I do add it to the meat and allow the meat to soak this up, and like I said, top it with a little bit more, it's going to have a fuller flavor for me. It's not going to be too salty on the meat itself once we're finished. Okay, so let's try this once more. Okay, that's where we're going to leave it. First thing you're going to have is this jalapeno salt come through. And on the back end of that is immediately some mustard, and then it kind of settles out because of the honey we put into it. So again, play with this. These are loose measurements. I've kind of culminated 3 to 4 different recipes that I searched online. This is what we like, and like I said, chicken broth, salt, and the pork itself was slow cook. I think the 2 pounds usually take us around 2 hours on high. Drop it down to low. I run it for 2 more hours, but that's simply because we're starting this at 9 o'clock in the morning. so we'll be able to eat whenever we want to eat it. But I like to let it slow cook, add that sauce in, and just soak up, as much of this as possible. But in all actuality, you could shred this with your forks after the 2 hours and allow it to sit for, as long as you want to. So sometimes I even kick it over to warm and just kind of let it marinate and all that if it's a little bit too early and we've already cooked it. Okay, so let us know if you try this, how you like it. Maybe you need more heat, maybe you need a little bit less heat. That's why I use the jalapeno salt last. I'd rather the major kick come from the paprika and the cayenne before the jalapeno comes through. But again, for me, I like the kick of all three of those combinations. Julie, she likes it, but she doesn't need a topper after it comes out of the crock. All right, so here we have our Publix extra lean pork, 2 pounds again. That's what we got. That was on sale. There should be 2 tenderloins in here. Let's see. Yes, I believe there is. Oh, there is. There we go. All right, so you can see very well. It is, in fact, extra lean. Typically what I like to do is if there's any small pieces of fat to pull off, I will, and then give it a good rinse in the sink. So we'll do that next. And we're going to go right into the crock pot, just like that. So let's take a little bit of sinew off. Okay. Very nice looking piece of meat here. So again, they're about 1 pound each. I'm going to go directly into the crock pot with this, and then we'll show you what we do to put it on to slow cook. This next piece, a little bit smaller. Got one big piece of fat to pull off there. Don't worry, we will disinfect all of this whenever we finish. I'm going to wash my hands and we're going to move the camera over here and show you what we're going to do to get it prepped and ready to go. All right, so we're back. We know our meat's in here. We've disinfected everything. Julie and I like to use a liner for this. Makes cleanup a lot easier. Plus, we can reserve some of the juice or the leftover mixture rub that we made as well. So the first thing we're going to do, salt heavily. Again, I've told you this is our Redmond salt. We just have it in a Morton's container. And the only other thing that we're going to do is add some chicken broth. Of course, you can add beef broth. I honestly don't know if they make pork broth. I tend to like chicken broth. It feels like it's the most neutral and takes on the flavor of whatever it is that you're cooking. So we're using one up here. It's about 1/2 cup. I'm going to use a total of 1 cup, so I'm going to open up my other container. And it's going to go right in. That's all we're going to do. And like I said, typically we'll cook this 2 pounds on high for 2 hours. We will come back. I'll show you that. Come back, break it up, add our rub, turn it down to low, and I put it on for 2 more, but at that point, the pork is cooked. So it's just about how intense do you want the rub to absorb into your meat. Okay, so we're going to set it and forget it. So we're going to go high one more time. Okay, low, high, and warm. That's how our settings are. And I'm going to go for our 2 hours. We'll put the lid on here. We'll check on it in 2 hours. Like I said, it should be cooked. We'll break it up and then move on. Okay, so this is cooked on high for 2 hours. In the chicken broth, remember, and the salt. You see it's done. And what I'm going to do, you can see that's really tender, is just take my fork and start breaking up both tenderloins. And then we will add our rub that we made earlier to this, and we're going to turn it on low, and again, kind of let it cook in some more, probably, I don't know, another 2 hours before we eat it. But technically this meat is done. You could take it out and just top the sauce right now if you wanted to, but we're going to let it simmer here for a
You
little
could
while.
stop here and have a purely carnivore meal.
Yeah, for sure. It's just
We are
salt.
going to make this a little bit more animal based, which will have more flavor, so that's why it's going to cook 2 more hours.
Yeah. All right, so we've got our meat all stringed out here. So we've pulled the pork. See? Okay. So all we're going to do is put about half of our mixture in. Right? We're going to turn it back on low. We'll set it for 2 hours. Remove our forks. And I'm going to use kind of our tongs from here on out. I'm just going to incorporate it. I did not dump the chicken broth or any of the juices that the pork has made on its own while cooking. And this is going to set in here until we are ready to eat. So even though I set it for 2, I'll get up after the 2 hours is over with. And if we're still not ready to eat, I will simply put it on warm until we are. The warm is well above just a warm temperature in this crock pot at least. Okay, we are finished with our 4 total hours of our pulled pork. That's with the sauce added. Now we are on warm, and Julie and I are getting ready to eat. I think it smells really good. I don't know how you think it smells. It smells hot and spicy.
I usually stop right here and eat the pulled pork this way. There are some carbs in here because we've used a little bit of applesauce and honey. But for me, this is mostly just flavoring at this point. It's pretty low carb. I don't know the exact numbers. But Michael likes to take the sauce that we made, he saves some extra out, and then he puts it on top of his for a few additional carbs, and his is more along the lines of an animal-based meal.
And I don't know if it would be more than 1 carb because you're not even going to use what juice is in the bottom here. You're just taking the meat
pork
only.
out of what it's seasoned in. So
Yeah.
I eat a lot more of a carnivore diet than he does, and he eats a little bit more liberalized animal-based because he works out more than I do, so he needs more carbs in his life. But I just pull the pork out of here and eat it as it is. I think it's perfect. Good to go.
Okay, so we're sitting down to have our dinner, finished product without spilling it everywhere. So I probably have 3 more tablespoons of the sauce on top. They're really great with some spicy pickles. It goes really great, with some spicy pickles. Jules has a full bowl of just meat for her. That's all she's having. I do have a little bit of cheese on the side. So yeah, we have found, this was something new. We'd actually had with your grandmother one weekend, and we decided let's go see if we have any sales for pork tenderloin. Wasn't really something that we gravitated toward a whole lot, but now that we found this little recipe and it's so easy in the crock pot, we love it. You can make it your own, obviously. We like it this way, again, with an animal-based sauce, so we know what's in it, we can count what's in it. Otherwise, salt and some chicken stock is going to give you some still some pretty tasty meat. So I'm ready to dig in.
One of my favorite meals. We ate a lot of this through the holiday season, and it's become kind of a staple in our diet, and we eat this pretty regularly. It's also inexpensive, and you can customize it however you want.
What do you think? How much was left when you got the rest of it out?
Probably almost 1 more full bowl full.
So
it usually will make 3 meals, so feed us one day and then one of us eats the leftovers tomorrow, or we'll put another pork in there and start all over again tomorrow.
So we're not eating hardly a pound of pork, but close to it.
Close to.
Yeah.
It's great. It's delicious.
I'm excited.
For me, this is 12 out of 10. This is one of my favorite meals we're making, and I'm so excited to get to share it with our carnivore community.
It's hard to cook it for 4 hours and to smell it for 4 hours and not eat it.
You're better off if you can leave the house. It's hard,
So we're excited.
especially those second 2 hours.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so thrilled we got to share this with our carnivore community. I hope if anybody tries this, let me know what you think, if you like it. And I will see you tomorrow in another World Carnivore Month video.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye, guys.